Hello and welcome to another episode of the Halftime Podcast, brought to you by halftimecuppa.com. Welcome back. It's two in a row now. Look at that. It's certainly been a while since we've done two consecutive episodes, but we are back. And today I'm joined by the fantastic Charlie Pumfrey. Hello, Charlie. You okay?
Hello, Danny. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me back. 2 in a row, going for the record.
I know. Can we make it 3 next week? That would be
go
the
for the
question.
hat trick.
Anyway, we're jumping ahead of ourselves there. We're on today, and we are talking about the Premier League, and we are focusing specifically on the top 6 sides. Now, don't worry if your side finished outside there. I can hear Charlie crying in the background, but don't worry, Charlie. Don't worry. We will come on to the other sides in the coming weeks. In particular, I'm so desperate to get Jake on for the relegated sides episode, because I think that would be absolutely hilarious.
He's got strong views, Jake, isn't he? Bless him.
Yeah. And you know what? He will not hold back on his own side. So it will be very, very tasty, and one certainly not worth missing. So yeah, thank you, Charlie, for joining us again. And how have you been anyway? You been okay?
Yeah, it's been a busy week since last week. Bit of football going on. I know we're going to talk about the football that went on in another podcast, so not to spoil that. But yeah, Love Island's back, so we're back into Twitter devolving from the Premier League season into Love Island season,
reality TV season.
Yeah,
I guess
there it is.
Yeah. Actually, that I guess that kind of I've got a few ideas for what we could do related to Love Island as well. So that'll be an interesting
Eyes peeled. This
podcast. Yeah, I know. You know what? I feel like those ideas may catapult us to the Football Podcast Awards. So our
top
one
coverage of Love Island
viewer.
That'll do well. Talking about a reality TV show.
And to be fair, my mum listens in. She loves Love Island, so I mean there's one vote straight away. So we're already halfway there, I guess. But anyway, okay, let's focus on the top 6 of the Premier League. And of course, before we jump into the debate, there'll be a poll at the very bottom of the piece if you are watching this on our website, halftimecuppa.com. If you are not, why not? Go and check out the site whilst you're listening to us. And do let us know your thoughts in the comments section about the top 6 sides. We really want to hear those, and we may read some of those out in future weeks as well. Okay, so Charlie, where's the best place to begin? I guess
should we start from the bottom and work our way up.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. I was going to say top, but let's go bottom to top. How about that?
That's right. I like to be different. I like to be difficult at all times.
Well, talking about difficult, Manchester United clearly had a difficult season. So they ended up finishing 6th, and they are our first team to talk about today. Charlie, do you want to take us away with your thoughts on how United did this season?
To be honest, Man United season has had so many different sort of... It's almost had a whole club's worth of, like, a decade's worth of issues and ups and downs in one season. You start the season with Jose Mourinho, and actually there were whispers at the beginning of the season. Obviously, he was disappointed with how much money was spent. He didn't get a centre-back that he wanted, and that it looked like quite a negative start. And if anything, you could see on the horizon that maybe things were about to go awry. And they did, quite catastrophically.
Yes.
And
go on.
Yeah, and he found himself out the door. He found himself, was it a loss to Liverpool, and then he was out the door? So, and then the poison chalice was given to someone else.
Was you surprised by that? Was you surprised in the sense that Mourinho departed midway through the season, I guess?
I think they were hedging their bets somewhat at the beginning of the season. That's why they didn't back him fully. They were like, okay, we'll see what he does with this squad. And to be honest, if you look at Mourinho's history, barring maybe you can make a case for Inter Milan, he doesn't really do well when he has to make do with squads. He very much needs influxes of players. I think after a while, his tactics start to grind on players.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that it just got to the point. Like, what was it? Is it third season?
Third season syndrome for him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, his third season, across the board, really, I think he tends to sort of fall away.
Mm.
Yeah, actually surprised because quite a bit of that sort of third season. I mean, we might have to double check that is the case, but quite a lot of that third season syndrome was sort of made of at the start of the season.
Mm.
And I don't think it was kind of brought up when he was getting sacked or when he departed, shall we say? Like I feel
When
like
he left these
there,
shores.
there should have been more, or there could have been more of that than what there actually was. Maybe it's just time that's passed and I've just sort of forgotten about it. But
Yeah, I think it was brought up a bit, but like you say, I think after a while people kind of moved on, and I think people have made peace with him leaving by the point he left. He could. There was talk he was going to be sacked a few weeks previous. He survived, and then what was it? They beat Juventus in that time, didn't they? In Turin.
you know
But that
what?
result anyway. He when he
Turning
when
back
he
time, yeah,
when he won and he put his hand to his ear,
yeah.
and it was like, cool. You wait for Edward to give him his P45, but like at that point, actually, it did look like, oh, okay, things are turning around
He
here.
might stay, yeah.
Yeah, this is the Mourinho pulling the rabbit out of the hat trick.
Yeah, I guess in that sense, then, if Mourinho had delivered a trophy, be it say the League Cup or
The
even the
FA
FA Cup, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. Do you feel that United fans would be still? I guess. Okay, I'll rephrase that. Do you feel that United fans, it had Mourinho won a trophy, would they still have that
Oh,
same
there would have
level
been.
of satisfaction as what they kind of do under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
No, I think, to be honest, even if he'd have won a trophy, it would be very similar to when Van Gaal won the FA Cup a few years ago, and then he was shown the door very quickly after.
And why is that?
That he was because, to be honest, I think the die was cast from the summer. I think it became quite obvious that Manchester United had different plans. They wanted to actually, you can see by their transfer business actually this summer, it kind of proves that they're going a different way. They're trying not to go for prestige. They're going for prestige in 5 years' time. That's why they picked a manager that was, we can go onto it, a left field solution to the problem. And that they're actually, I think they're trying to do things a little bit differently. Why they're trying to find a technical director. And so they're trying to go at things slightly differently. And does Mourinho fit with that? If you go to Mourinho and go, look, this is going to be a 5 to 10 year project. I think Man United really are in the position, probably in worse position than Liverpool were when Klopp took over back in October 2014 now, 2015, 2014.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it. I can't remember the last time, and correct me if I'm wrong. Can't remember the last time United really put on a challenge for the title.
Fergie, it was the last time
Since
when Fergie won
Fergie,
it.
really, that was it. So yeah, maybe it is a case of they've just they've tried a couple of supposed quick fixes, and now they want to go down a different route.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. I think that whole transition from Ferguson has been made a lot of, but they've kind of bungled that transition.
and just in terms of that transition now, then is Solskjaer the guy to take Manchester United forward, or is he, in theory, going to be another quick fix?
No, I don't think Solskjaer is a quick fix. I think there was an argument that maybe he came in as an interim. I think the thought process changed. I think when he came in, he was brought in as, okay, he's a club man. Fergie probably, let's be honest, Fergie probably blessed that decision. And that actually he's a positive manager, even though he was on the brink of being sacked in Norway not long before the season started over there last summer. And then he's now in a position where he came in, got some really good results. What was it? They didn't lose for like 2 months with him in charge.
Yeah,
Or some really
yeah,
crazy
they
stat like
did
that.
very, very well under him.
And they suddenly went from thinking that it was less Di Matteo and more Guardiola.
But there was obviously, I mean, for me again, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a stage where obviously he did really, really well, and Manchester United did really well. And then I think that honeymoon period just expired, in the sense that as soon as he was as soon as he was announced as the manager for the foreseeable future, I don't know about you, but results and performances looked as
Curtailed.
though they were curtailing. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So
that I know we're probably spending a bit too much time here on Man United, but that decision, just to really hark on that decision to give him a permanent deal before the summer, a summer really where they could have pretty much had their pick of elite managers, other than sort of Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola. They could have gone out and gone, okay, Massimo Allegri leaves Juventus. Do you fancy coming straight in somewhere else? If you want a young manager, there are plenty of young managers around that you can go to and go, okay, we're building a project. And you could have picked the best young manager, but it feels like they've picked Solskjaer basically on 2 months of good form and the fact that he's been blessed by Ferguson. And I feel like it's the same thought process that got David Moyes the job. And if he's not backed appropriately, it'll have the same ending as David Moyes' appointment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a worry, isn't it, really? Are they effectively going to regret making that decision? We will yet to see. And this is something that we are going to obviously discuss in the coming weeks when we look ahead to next season, and I guess Manchester United's chances of applying any kind of challenge. So let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Let's move on to Arsenal now then. Europa League finalists. Charlie, how would you sum up their season in, I guess, in the Premier League? And we may as well expand it out to the fact that they got to the final as well.
I think it's been frustrating progress, if that makes sense. That it's been harder ground than I think maybe the Arsenal fans were expecting. That Unai Emery came in, he had a pretty good record. I mean, at PSG, it didn't work as well for him, but I mean, in Seville, he was widely regarded. And he brought in, you could tell from those first couple of weeks, they tried to play football in such a style, in such a fashion, that it was like, okay, we are going to build from the back. And I think it took a while for the fans and the players to get used to that. I mean, if you look at the first game of the season, was it Petr Cech trying to pass from the out of goal kicks every time? And teams click to that really instantly because teams have tried that before. And it's just a bit like, okay. I think his tactics have evolved slightly since that point. If you look now, they've moved more towards Lacazette and Aubameyang becoming a partnership rather than one being up top and one playing slightly off. And I think it has, like I say, it's been tough going, but it's been going. And I think I think he's safe for now. I think they have another season like this. I think he's got to get Champions League football next season. I think that really is his mandate. And I think he's probably not got the tools in place to do that. And it'll be an interesting summer for Arsenal, definitely.
Yeah, you was just talking about the tools that he's got sort of at his disposal. I don't know if you've seen the kind of reports about how much Arsenal supposedly have to spend, but it's not much.
Reportedly 40 million, which is good 10 years ago, but that doesn't buy you an elite player nowadays.
No, it certainly doesn't. And that will certainly be the worry, especially with, obviously, I live with two Arsenal fans. Charlie knows them very, very well.
You're exposed to opinions on that.
Exposed to Arsenal fans, yeah. But apparently one of them was suggesting that Lacazette could be potentially on his way out. How much of a worry do you feel that would be to Arsenal fans? The fact that they're kind of exposed to potentially having players picked off them.
I don't know. It's a real catch-22 because Arsenal need capital now. They need money. They need the ability to go out this summer and say, okay, we need a centre-back. Because Mustafi, I don't think I've heard from a single Arsenal fan that he's anywhere near their quality. And that's why you're seeing this summer, actually. They're bringing some really left field options to replace him. I mean, I've seen reports of Lewis Dunk, so definitely left field. I even heard one or two whispers about Shane Duffy, so I don't know what they're planning. But unsubstantiated.
But does this kind of highlight like it's a bit of a gamble, isn't it? Like, they're going to have to go out there and, you're saying left field signings. They're going to have to sort of gamble and go away from what they've done in the past, the tried and tested, I guess, for them.
I don't know. I don't know if that's. I mean, maybe the last couple of years you could make that case. Since Mesut Ozil signed, and so they went, and then Aubameyang came in, then Lacazette, then Mkhitaryan. They went for more, and sort of Socrates as well. Are all players, established players, but Arsenal, I think, have always been kind of known as being the club since Wenger arrived, and probably from that point onwards, as a club that would take a risk. That club, but I mean, look at Matteo Guendouzi in centre midfield. He'd never played a top flight game for Lorient in France, but he comes in, he's given trust, and he's allowed to play, and looks like he will actually be a very good centre midfielder one day. And I think Arsenal, I mean, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Is it Giene from Getafe, the centre back? A name that I hadn't.
Off the top of my head.
I think that's his name anyway. But he's got a low release clause, and they're talking about bringing him in. And like I say, he's again another left field option for that centre back position. And I think Arsenal are willing to take a few risks, especially when you've got a small budget. You've got to take risks, especially if you want to achieve something. And I think Unai Emery's succeeded before when he's taken risks. Under Monchi in Seville, he was able to bring players in that haven't necessarily played for years in top flight football, and it's worked for him. So I think it'll be an interesting summer, but I kind of trust Arsenal to do well.
Okay, well, talking of one club with an interesting summer ahead, let's move on to another one, which is Tottenham, who obviously finished inside the top four and were beaten in the Champions League final. That being said, obviously the last couple of windows, I don't think they actually spent in January, and they certainly didn't spend in the summer previous. So they, and I know fans have been calling out for a bit of a reinvestment, I guess, get some new blood in, especially with, I don't know if you heard the reports of Eriksen wanting to walk away. Charlie, let's start with Eriksen. What's your thoughts on those reports about Eriksen wanting to leave Tottenham?
Christian Eriksen's interesting. I think he has reached a point. I think it's like when Gareth Bale left. He's given years of his prime to the club. He's committed. He's done well for them. He's contributed goals, assists. And I think it is the time now. I think he's matured into a player that will do very well. I think Real Madrid will be where he ends up. I think they're having another season like the season when they bought Cristiano Ronaldo and Kaká. And I think he'll be a player that will go to Madrid and do really well. And I think that frees Tottenham up, actually, to have a little bit of a shake-up in their team. Because if you're getting, I mean, I don't know what prices are being quoted for Christian Eriksen, but I reckon between 80 to 100 million for a player of his quality, that does allow you. I mean, that's already twice what we were talking about for Arsenal. And if they're willing to invest that, now the stadium's built, if they're willing to invest that back into the team, a bit like Arsenal, I trust them to go and pick out players that will do well for them. And you look at some of the names they're being linked to, like Ryan Sessegnon, that's a really high upside, even though he had maybe a slightly disappointing year in the Premier League. I think they've got a really interesting summer again, and I think they have a little bit of a change of the guard coming. Vertonghen's only got 1 year left on his deal. Alderweireld has a very low release clause until, is it 1 week before the end of the window? They're very much targets, I think, for people. I can see Alderweireld leaving. I think, to be honest, there'll be glances from a few teams around Europe, especially at his price.
Just in general, then, in terms of how Tottenham approached those last two transfer windows, then it is going to have to be different, isn't it? This window coming. Obviously, Eriksen is pretty much, as you say, he's going to be on his way out, we guess. Where else do you feel that they potentially would look to strengthen? Bearing in mind, obviously, you've got Lucas Moura and Harry Kane, who have had pretty good seasons between them.
Yeah. Lucas becoming, basically that's one thing to say, isn't it? Lucas has become Harry Kane's backup now. He's become the striker I don't think they bought. When they bought Lucas Moura, they weren't looking for him to be a backup striker, and he's done really well for them.
He certainly has. And I mean, I guess another couple of reports I saw about Trippier as well, potentially leaving. And I see got some Spurs fans on Twitter, and they were sort of suggesting that they're looking for new fullbacks. So I don't know what your thoughts were on potentially replacing Rose and Trippier as well.
I think Danny Rose, I think they have a bit more flexibility at left back with Ben. I think Ben Davies has gone down slightly from where he was 12 to 18 months ago. And you hear them looking, is it Lucas Digne from Everton? Is looking like an option now, with Danny Rose potentially moving in the opposite direction. I can see that happening. That's a very Spurs signing. I think he fits their mould. Very good set piece taker as well. He'd be fantastic for them.
Proven in Prem as well.
Proven, yeah, good season. Another one that's been at Tottenham this year is Andre Gomez, hasn't he? He's potentially a replacement of Christian Eriksen, a very different midfielder. But a right back, Kieran Trippier's had. What was he called last week? The World Cup catfish.
Yeah, I like. You know what? I do actually like him. Because I know
he's had a poor season. Like, by his standards, I think he'll admit that he's had a poor season.
I mean, he did.
Yeah, I think by pretty much anyone's barometer, he's had a lackluster year. And the problem with Tottenham this year has been they haven't had anyone to compete with him. I wonder if that's playing into it.
Yeah.
That with England, he had to be at the top of his game. Otherwise, Alexander-Arnold was sat on his shoulder. Or Walker was sat on his shoulder. I know Walker played centre-back at the World Cup, but the flexibility was there.
Yeah.
And whether he's at Tottenham, I mean, who's his... he's gone from Kyle Walker to Kyle Walker-Peters. And in the nice way possible, he may develop into a great player. But I think Spurs do need to go and reinvest that money into a really... To be honest, I'm surprised. I think the problem here is the price. I'm surprised Wan-Bissaka isn't being given more of a glance by Tottenham, because I think he'd be fantastic for them and it'd be a great place for him to develop.
Well, you see,
but I think the price probably rules them out of that one. But I think right back is, like you say, a big change. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to change the position around. What about Hugo Lloris? What have you made of his season? Do you reckon he's?
Yeah, I mean, he about Vertonghen and Alderweireld. I mean, I feel like he's probably one that's very close to departing soon. But I saw, I think Vorm's gone as well.
Yes, yes.
So now, unless I'm incorrect, I mean, who else is there to really challenge?
Gazzaniga.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about him.
He's played a few times in the Premier League this season. But no, you make a good point. I think goalkeeper's a position that
there's not enough challenge, is there? There's not enough challenge between them at the moment.
There's not, but Lloris can be a fantastic goalkeeper, or he can cost you a game. Unlike, I mean, you look at, we're going back to our cover. I know our podcast last week covered a lot of this ground.
Nothing wrong with that.
We'll talk about them later. But look at Liverpool with Alisson. He's a calming influence, whereas I think Lloris is the opposite. I think he puts doubt in players' minds. I think you saw that a couple of times last week. That he maybe at times he makes poor decisions, which is bizarre for a keeper quite as experienced as him. But I think if you've got a limited budget like Tottenham have, he won't be a position they try and improve. Maybe in a couple of years, they may try and buy someone that's going to have a couple of years away and bring back. But I don't know. I think they're in need of someone like Alisson.
Well, you're talking of Alisson. Let's talk about another goalkeeper that came in the Premier League this season, and one who made a couple of headlines, probably for the wrong reasons. We're, of course, talking about Cuppa, who plays for Chelsea, the Europa League winners. Finished third place, quite a considerable distance between them and second place Liverpool. I think 15 points, I believe. So, I mean, five wins away.
25 points, Danny.
25 points, yeah, sorry, maths.
That's right.
Take my GCSE away.
That's right. You can tell I did the finance degree, so it's all right. It's all right. Numbers are kind of in my wheelhouse.
Well, there we go. I mean, that's incredible. That much of a gulf between the top two and third place. But let's talk about Chelsea. And I guess a point I want to link in with Tottenham in regards to Tottenham losing Eriksen. Chelsea have obviously just recently lost Hazard.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens now for Chelsea then? Because their whole dynamic was kind of revolved around this special player in Hazard.
Well, that's not the only person leaving, is it?
No, you're right, but I mean,
Sarri's out the door next week. That's
you're
that. Yeah,
you're,
if the reports to be believed, he'll be Juventus manager by the end of this week.
but again, this kind of raises the question who they getting next. But I've seen reports that it's like Lampard, isn't it?
That's
I mean,
not.
what do you think? Who they got to get?
I think their summer revolves around the court of arbitration for sport. If you hear yesterday, they filed their appeal against their transfer ban. If it gets postponed, Frank Lampard won't get the job because if it gets postponed, I think they'll go heavy this summer. I think they'll go big. They'll have £100 million burning a hole in their pocket. I know they spent a lot of that on Pulisic already, but I think they've got holes in that team. I think they're in need of a real commanding top-level centre-back, along with potentially, I mean, Marcos Alonso's made noises about going back to Spain, back to Atletico, have been linked with him heavily. I think they're in need of a left-back. And really, if the transfer ban gets put in place, stays in place, I think Lampard will get the job because he's proven he can work with young players, and they're going to have to work with young players. Hudson-Odoi, when he comes back, hopefully the player he was, will have to be involved because the squad will demand it. With players like Willian, Pedro, Giroud, they're all getting older. There's a chance one of them pulls off next season. They're going to need a manager who can get a lot out of what they've got. And I think Sarri could do that, but I think he's gone. I think he's very much out the door.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting, really, because of the four teams, no, actually, of all four teams, for me right now, all four of them are going through some kind of transition. For Tottenham, probably the least sort of volatile transition, because really
they're more used to it.
Yeah, and
they're used to losing their star player every 5 years.
Exactly, and it's with no disrespect, it's Eriksen and not Harry Kane. And Eriksen's obviously a crucial player, but they unlike Chelsea can go out should they want to and spend and bring someone in. Chelsea they've kind of, other than obviously this fantastic Europa League win, if they're now disposing of their manager again, we're kind of back to another sort of square one situation where with the likes of Manchester United, where they currently sit.
I think the one positive as well, talking about the fact that Tottenham used to transition in their star player, Chelsea have gone through more managers than I've had hot dinners. They are constantly under a new manager. I don't think I can name every manager that's been in charge under Abramovich.
That'd be a great quiz.
That would be a great quiz. One day coming soon. Keep an eye out for that one. The thing is with Chelsea, I don't think they have a identity, but I think they're okay with that. I think they're very much. Antonio Conte comes in, he goes to a three at the back, and he plays a very Italian style of football. Whereas a couple of years before that, you have, Di Matteo did very much defensive football as well, and then Sarri comes in and tries to play something very different. And I think he tried to put an identity on the team, much like he did in Napoli, and what he'll probably do in Juventus. And I think that kind of came across wrong with fans. I think Arsenal and Man United fans would have killed to finish third and win the Europa League. Really.
Yeah.
If you'd have put that on a plate for them now, I think they'd have gone, yeah, that'd be nice. Whereas Chelsea fans were like, well, we finished third, we finished 25 points off the top. And the football has been, I think I've heard from quite a few Chelsea fans since, and it's very much been a case of, okay, the end product was right, but the process was wrong. And I think that'll be their big question now. We'll be getting a manager who can put a process in place. But it's going to take time, and Chelsea don't do long rebuilds.
That being said, though, they do have going for them, obviously, an extensive pool of young talent.
If there was any team that had the resources in-house already, it's Chelsea.
Yeah, in terms of transfer bans, at least this way, if it was to happen, you are hopefully going to see some of these youngsters come through. The likes of Tammy Abraham, incredible player. Very good player.
I wouldn't be expecting him in the squad next year.
No, but hopefully he can break through and play.
I think
one or
he's
two.
going. I think he's going out permanently. I can't see him staying.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is a shame, but this is the sort of Chelsea thing. And you look who's ahead of him. Although I say that Higuain probably won't be kept on. There's probably a place for him if he ever wanted to take on the mantle and take that next step.
Well,
and not be Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, now's the time. But in the same sense, from a Chelsea perspective, you know what? It would be really interesting to see how many of their senior players they retain should this transfer ban come into place. Because I'd like to see the strategy. Because if they are like the Higuains, the Girouds, if they're not that, they may just sell them. They may just get
Higuain's
rid
not
of them.
staying. I think by all accounts, Higuain's loan will end this
Yeah,
summer, and he'll be sent
he won't
back.
come back then. No.
He'll be sent back to Juventus to play under Maurizio Sarri. Funnily enough. And then I think, to be honest, you look at Chelsea. What an intriguing project that would be if they went, okay, we'll deal with the transfer ban. The CAS says no. The ban still stands. I mean, look at some of the players in that squad. The young players, the young English players. Look at the Mason Mounts. I mean, Loftus-Cheek isn't as old as young as he used to be, obviously, and has a bit of an injury. But give him the right manager, he could be fantastic. You look at Ethan Ampadu at the back. He looks like he'll be a special talent.
He's played a few times this season, hasn't he?
I was watching the Wales game. He came on today, dating this one. He came on and he looked fantastic, to be honest, against the Croatia team that had a lot of experienced pros. He, at the age, I think he's 18 now or 19. So he's at that age where you'd be expecting him maybe to start making that step. He looks really exciting. And I think if you bring Frank Lampard in and go, okay, I know his season at Derby's been hit and miss. It could be a really, really interesting project, but I just can't see Chelsea being the club to do it.
It'll certainly be an interesting watch. Let's move on now because we're rattling through these and we don't have too much time left. Let's move on to the top two. Let's talk about Liverpool. Obviously, this season's runners-up lost just once, just one game they lost this year, conceding 22 goals as well, which is incredible when you think the Man City, who went on to win, conceded 23 and lost 4 times. So Charlie, let's talk about. Should we talk about them individually or should we do them together?
I think a race. I think it's the race you have to talk about, and I think that is both teams.
Let's talk about both then.
Two teams that, well, barring last season, would have both broken the points record, which is unbelievable. In any other season is an unbelievable, other than last season, obviously, is an unbelievable season. They've both been fantastic. They've both played good football. They've both gone through rough spells as well, really. You look at Liverpool only losing once, but drawing 7 times. That was really the bullet. I mean, you turn one of them into another win, then that's it. We're talking about Liverpool breaking the duck.
Yeah.
So it's been an unbelievably intriguing title race, and at the same time, quite a boring one because I think it was the record, wasn't it, for the most times the title had changed hands.
Yeah.
Most of that was because Liverpool played before Man City. And they both won pretty much all the games they were expected to win, barring Crystal Palace going to the Etihad and Townsend scoring the goal of the season.
Wasn't it, that one? Yeah.
That is the goal of the season, by the way. I don't know if there's going to be a conversation about that, but as much as I hate the fact Crystal Palace player scored the goal of the season, it was goal of the season. And probably the goal of the last few seasons.
It was very, very nice. Yes, definitely. So for me, anyway, I echo what you said. Incredible title race. But the point that really emphasizes how close these two teams were and how good they were was that game. I think it was just into the new year or just after Christmas between Man City and Liverpool. And it ended up City winning that. Obviously, Liverpool's only defeat this season. What a game that was. What a game that was. That was easily one of the best games I think I've seen in the Premier League.
Full stop.
Full stop. I cannot remember a better game in terms of two teams just going for it and playing some great football.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be that way, isn't it? It's going to. I think I don't see any chance of that changing because both teams are still in place. The squads will stay together, and it's going to be. And for a game that only finished 2-1, it was an unbelievable game of football. It was strategically, tactically, both managers playing four-dimensional chess with each other. It was a really, really great game, and I think we'll see more of them because both teams are still in place and we'll probably have more talent over the summer.
See that? I mean, when I think of that game, I was just amazed at how good it was. And then you think back to the game at the start of the season where these two sides met. I think it ended up 0-0. Literally
Riyad,
nothing happened. It was the most boring
well,
game in the world.
apart from Riyad Mahrez smashing a penalty through the sticks for 3 points to Wigan. Oh, that is one of the worst penalties I think I've ever seen. To talk about one level of class to go to the other end of the spectrum. Oh, geez. It was dreadful.
It was painful. It was not a good game at all, was it?
But actually, I think to go back to that game, the other game, to run away from that really awful game of football.
Yeah.
That win for Man City closed the gap. It was Liverpool were 7 points clear before that game. And it was Tottenham were above Man City. Tottenham were closer than Man City were. And I think that really changed things. In the same way, really, this Man City side, and probably not in style, really echo Ferguson's Man United. That they get results. They'll win, and they'll just keep winning. The occasional slip up, but they've got a squad that will get wins where they need to win. Like at home to your main title rivals. They'll get the win through someone. Whether it's Leroy Sané, whether it's Raheem Sterling, even though maybe Sané won't be there next season. They get wins. They get the 3 points. Regardless, it might look a bit messy. In fairness, their style's pretty nicer, but it's that win at pretty much all costs.
It certainly makes you a champion, doesn't it? Grinding out those results. Yeah. You can't help but feel those 7 draws that Liverpool got very, very costly. But anyway, looking ahead, obviously, to the summer, I know we're going to talk about this more, definitely. But just sort of a snap verdict. What sort of areas do you feel Man City and Liverpool need to sort of strengthen in?
Yeah, I think to start with Man City, I think there's an obvious one, isn't there? I think it is Fernandinho. As much as I know Company left, and then we can get to that. But Man City have been hunting for Fernandinho's replacement for, I think, over a year now. And I think they'll probably end up getting one. I think Rodri from Atletico Madrid looks like it's going to happen. And then it's getting Vincent Kompany's replacement. And it sounds like Harry Maguire's the name they're after. And that's an intriguing choice. I think will be good for them, but I don't know if he's elite. I think they need... I know it's a rough week for it, but Matthijs de Ligt will be probably the name that I'd hunt for.
I mean, everyone's after him, aren't they? Everyone's after him.
Anyone with a few quid in their pocket, yeah.
I mean, Man City are the team with money to spend, aren't they? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think if we're to move maybe across to, I know it's probably more, I think Leroy Sané leaving might open a space for another attacker at Man City, but I think that will probably be a later in the window conversation. Liverpool, another centre back potentially. I think their issue is, to be honest,
they're linked as well, aren't they?
They've been linked because they need, as good as Joe Gomez is, I worry about him and injuries because he seems to be accumulating them. And I think they'll maybe get to a point this summer where they're like, okay, Joe Gomez can stay and he can be a fantastic utility third choice and can be pushing for a start. Because you look at Man City, they've had four centre backs this season that have all can kind of play with each other, have all been pretty much for similar level. And they can play 2 or 4, maybe sometimes 3 or 4 with Laporte and left back. I think Liverpool need to get more towards that. As good as the world's self-proclaimed world's best defender is, Dejan Lovren, they need someone that can go in there and compete. someone that can go in there and be okay. Van Dijk, I'll be Van Dijk's partner, and that probably again would have to be someone like De Ligt. But there's plenty of other names out there. Like maybe the market's slightly thinner than it was a couple of months ago with the likes of Pavard not being available. I think it's just one of those. I think Liverpool may spend big, but I can see Liverpool not doing any business. In fairness, I think a lot of their problems have solved themselves. Sturridge leaving can be filled by Origi. I don't think Liverpool do too much.
It will be interesting. So I don't know. Yeah, I think other than getting someone in for Joe Gomez, I don't really know. Maybe they look to try and add some more competition at the front, at the top end of the pitch. But I mean, and I'm sure Salah will admit himself he's not had the best of seasons, but he's still scoring goals.
What, joint top goal scorer in the Premier League? I think he's had a pretty good season.
Yeah, but compared to last season, but you know, to be joint top goal scorer and to not have reached the heights as you did in the first season, I think you'd be.
I think
what's gone on, and then obviously you got Mane. Mane stepped up this year.
Definitely, he's had a break. He's had a proper breakthrough year this year. He was good last year, but I think he's gone into that question now of being elite, and you can see him start to be linked with these super clubs.
Do you feel that they will hold on to the likes of Salah and Mane? Do you feel that they can hold their own and keep hold of these players?
Well, they've just won the Champions League, so I think a question of competing isn't. The players can't walk into Jurgen Klopp's office and be like, "Okay, I want to compete for the Champions League," because he can just turn around to the trophy in the corner and go, "We've done that. Stick around. Let's break the record. Let's break the run. Let's go and win the Premier League," because that's a legacy play. If you're Mohamed Salah and you win the league with Liverpool, you won't be forgotten.
Yeah, definitely be a legend forever, especially after obviously this season and the Champions League exploits.
And I think that's Liverpool's target. I think that will be almost entirely their target will be to get the big one, to win the Premier League.
Yeah, can they do it? Well, let us know in the comments section below. And I haven't quite thought about what poll's going to be down there, but there may be a poll down there. Maybe it will be Liverpool. We'll have to have a think. Maybe it'll be which of these top 6 sides will finish highest next season. How about that?
Let's have player of the season, Danny.
Player of the season. What out of these top 6?
Yeah, top 6. Let's go controversial. Let's pick 6, Danny. Quickly, let's pick 6.
What, one from each team?
We can do one from each team. We can just pick 6 if you want. Although in fairness, we pick 6, it will just be 3 from City and 3 from Liverpool. So,
yeah.
If you want to pick one from each team, you might struggle with some of them. Cough, cough, Man United.
I mean, I mean, I'm just looking at obviously those top 6 teams. I'd choose like Hazard. I liked Hazard.
Yeah, I think that's fair. He's had his the crescendo of his Chelsea career.
Mane, obviously.
Yeah.
Aguero, always like Aguero.
Oh wait, sorry, you're going for Mane instead of Van Dijk.
Oh yeah,
trying to slide that one by me.
I guess you have to go Van Dijk, don't you? Really, but if it was one per team, you have to go Van Dijk.
Aubameyang, joint top goal scorer.
I've enjoyed watching Ramsey this year. Yeah. You're right,
purely for his goals. I think he has to be in the conversation.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's a toss-up, but go on. I'll go with Aubameyang then, based on numbers.
And then Paul Pogba for Man United, because that won't wind anyone up.
Paul Pogba, God.
He's got the most goals and assists for them this season.
No, I can't. I can't back Paul Pogba there.
Go there. Back someone else over him. This is interesting. This is a conversation that's coming up now.
This is hard.
De Gea? De Gea is the only name I might accept, and even then, I think he's had a pretty substandard year.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, he would openly admit that he's not had a great season, but for all, like, I do feel really bad for him this year because, like, he has made mistakes,
But he's been behind a very shaky defence, which might as well have been a windbreaker.
Exactly. And he, over the number of years and seasons that he's been there, he's really grown and done a fantastic job.
Or is he being found out, Danny? That's the question we're asking.
No, he's definitely not being found out. We're not having that. No, I like De Gea. I mean, controversial, I guess, but I quite liked watching Rashford excel under Mourinho.
Sell that one, Danny. Sell that one to the Man United fans.
Well, Rashford, for me, anyway, as a clear non-Manchester United fan, Rashford, like, he seemed like the only player other than De Gea to play for Mourinho. Outside of view, that's all.
I think it's difficult though, because I think you can attribute him playing well under Mourinho, but at the same time, if you don't like the style of football you're playing, and if you don't fit that style of football, Paul Pogba doesn't fit Mourinho's style of football. I think that was clear from before he signed for Man United, back a couple of years ago now, that he wasn't a Mourinho player. He doesn't work enough. He doesn't like to play in that midfield and be combative enough, or do it well enough to be in the Mourinho midfield. But I think Rashford's a difficult one because I feel like he's had the opportunity to have a really breakthrough year, and he's he's not taken that opportunity, whether it be through injury or whether it be. I know he scored that goal against PSG to basically accomplish something that no one saw coming with the team that played that night. But I don't know. I think I'd have to back Paul Pogba and die on that particular hill.
Okay, you're going Pogba. To be honest, like I will sort of say, I don't really feel there was anyone that just.
No, should we just pick someone else from City or Liverpool?
Yeah, let's do it.
That won't wind up Man United fans at all picking a City or Liverpool player.
I mean, what we got? We got Van Dijk at the moment, obviously.
Alisson. I sung his praises earlier.
You did sing his praises earlier. Is he better than Edison?
Yes. A bit of a snapshot response to that question, but yes, I'd rather, as much as Edison is a fantastic distributor and a great shot stopper, I think Alisson's influence over a team is almost Van der Sar-like, and that he just calms everything down. And he makes the occasional mistake, but I think Edison's very much culpable of that as well. They're both fantastic goalkeepers. It's a shame they both play for Brazil.
It's very true. Brazil got it lucky, eh?
Well, I don't know if it's lucky having two players having to fight like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I guess it's kind of, again, I'm going to tie this into something very strange. And tie it into refereeing in the sense that if you're a good ref, like, you tend to not get noticed.
Yeah.
And I feel like Alisson's kind of gone under the radar in the sense that he's just he's obviously got these clean sheets. He's done really well. I mean, he got the Golden Glove, didn't he, this year? Unless I'm mistaken. So he's clearly doing something. I don't know. I enjoy seeing Edison play the way he does. Maybe it's because he's suited to Pep's style, and I like watching Pep's style.
That's fair.
I mean, both are incredible goalkeepers. So yeah, maybe this is a question where we can't actually give a
definitive answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, there will be a poll, but we'll decide to go back to the original point from about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
There will be a poll. It will have something in it. Maybe we should just do a poll of Polish players, and we'll just call it the poll of polls and just leave it.
That's another one.
Fabianski, Bednarak.
Yeah. Who else do we have in there?
Whoa! We're going international polls, are we? Oh, I thought we were going for Premier League polls.
Okay, Premier League polls. I don't know.
We'll be here for a while. We'll be here. Get back to that one. We'll get back to that one. Artur Boric. There we go.
Is he?
Yeah, he's Polish. Yeah, he's played for them for years. He's played for Bournemouth this year as well. He counts. Shout out to Artur Boric.
Yeah, we'll have to have a think about that.
It might only be 3. We might have stitched ourselves up here.
Yeah, I will. Anyway, well, we have well overran, but that was a very good little conversation, little discussion, I guess, about the top six. Very needed, very much needed, I think, given the season we've had. So yeah, Charlie, thank you very much for giving up your time and sharing your thoughts and words of wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me. I don't think anyone would describe them as wisdom.
I would.
Man United fans might not agree.
Well, I don't think we're going to be popular with both. So
That's fine.
Should Man United fans want to follow you on Twitter, how may they do so?
I'm at Charlie Pumfrey on Twitter. Just don't. Yeah, if you're a Man United fan, don't. It doesn't tend to end well.
You're going to have to change your profile picture to a picture of Paul Pogba. Now get away with it, then, yeah.
Head in his hands after losing to Brighton. Yeah, that's fine. We can do that.
And should you wish to berate me on Twitter, my handle is at DannyCook1996. No, I will not be having Paul Pogba in my profile picture. So until next time, thank you very much for listening. I think next week we are either going to talk about the Nations League, probably the review of that, and the hot mess that England got in. Bit of a snapshot preview for that episode. I'm sure it'd be interesting. You know what? It'd be interesting if we got Jake on for that as well.
Yeah, because let's get the Welshman to talk about England.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there won't be any bias in that at all.
And we can ask him about them losing to Croatia. It's fine.
There we go. We got something. So yeah, that'll be a good one, and I'm sure we will revisit the Premier League over the coming weeks in this glorious British summer we have ahead of us. Once again, Charlie, thank you very much, and until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.